He gave me the envelope with both hands. They were trembling. "Uncle," he said, his voice barely holding, "if the surgery fails, read this." I forced a laugh. "Don't say that." But he didn't smile, just shook his head once, slow, resigned, and looked away. His eyes carried something heavier than fear, something close to confession. I didn't open it, not then. I told myself it was just a child's anxiety, a goodbye letter in case the worst happened. But when the operating room doors closed behind him and I stood alone in that pale, humming corridor, the silence pressed differently. I could still feel the weight of the envelope in my hand. It wasn't the paper that felt heavy, it was the way he'd said, "Don't show Mom." I tore it open. Just 2 sentences, written in shaky pen strokes. And the moment I read them, I forgot how to breathe. My sister, Rebecca, was the kind of mother who never stopped talking about her sacrifices, the sleepless nights, the debt, the husband who never really helped. But my nephew, Ethan, he adored her. Even after the divorce, when his father stopped calling, he'd still say, "Mom's strong, she'll fix everything." Now I couldn't stop replaying the note in my head. "Mom told me not to tell you who my real dad is, but I think you should know. It's you." At first, my mind rejected it completely. He's a child, he's confused. Rebecca must have said something twisted, maybe he misunderstood. But then, I remembered. That night, 13 years ago, the night she came to my apartment crying over her breakup with Daniel. The wine, the silence between us, the kind that breathes. I buried that memory deep, convinced it was a single mistake shared between 2 broken people. She married Daniel 3 months later. Ethan was born 7 months after that. I had done the math once, then I stopped. Now I couldn't stop doing it again. I didn't confront her, not yet. Instead, I spent the next 3 days pretending everything was normal, fielding hospital updates, signing consent forms, calling relatives. All while my mind worked like a machine. I ordered a private paternity test. I swabbed Ethan's toothbrush, mine too. I mailed it quietly, to a lab across state lines. Rebecca never noticed. She was too busy posting tearful updates online, painting herself as the devoted mother praying for her son's recovery. At night, I watched her through the glass wall of the ICU, her hand on Ethan's, the same hand that once clutched my shirt in silence. Every time she whispered, "My son," something inside me fractured a little more. The guilt, the denial, the rage, they coexisted quietly. I didn't trust emotion anymore. Emotion is what made me blind 13 years ago. I trusted evidence. So I waited. 5 days. Then the results arrived. Email notification, 2:17 a.m. I read it alone in the hospital parking lot, under a flickering streetlight. 99.9% match. I didn't sleep that night. I just watched dawn break across the asphalt, a thin, sterile light bleeding through the fog. When she finally appeared, coffee in hand, I was waiting in the hallway, calm, detached. "Ethan's stable," she said softly. "They said he might wake up soon." I nodded. "That's good." I handed her a folded paper, the printed result. "What's this?" "Read it." She frowned, opened it, read the numbers, then stopped breathing for a second. Her eyes darted up to mine. "This is a joke, right?" I said nothing. Her lips trembled. You did this?" I nodded once. He deserved to know. For a moment, I saw her crumble, shoulders folding in, hands shaking like a house collapsing from its own foundation. Then came the whisper. "You said you'd forget that night." "I did," I said, until he reminded me who paid the price. We stood in that sterile hallway, surrounded by machines breathing for others, and I realized how small her lies looked under fluorescent light. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I'm going to tell him the truth, I said quietly. When he wakes up, he'll know who really stayed by his side all these years. Her eyes filled, not with tears, but panic. You can't, he'll hate me. I almost smiled. He deserves the choice. She reached for me. I stepped back. The silence that followed was colder than any scream. Then I turned away, leaving her standing in that white corridor, face pale, eyes hollow, clutching the truth like a wound she couldn't cover. Ethan woke 2 days later, weak but alive. He smiled when he saw me. "Hey, Uncle." I didn't correct him. Not yet. Some truths should arrive slowly, like dawn, not lightning. Rebecca sat quietly by the window, eyes red, hands clasped. She couldn't look at me. I stayed a while, then I left without goodbye. In the parking lot, I watched the hospital shrink in my rearview mirror, one light fading at a time. There was no anger left, no forgiveness either, just stillness, the kind that comes when the noise finally ends. I had lost a sister, but I had found the truth. And truth, once revealed, doesn't need to scream. It simply exists.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. Subscribe now to Cheating Stories Insight World for more amazing stories.